I think they will rue the day that they put Pam Bondi in as Attorney General and Kash Patel as Director of the FBI. They've essentially signaled the end of independent federal law enforcement. Over the next 4 years, that may end up in the targeting of Democrats, targeting of media that's friendly to Democrats. But once law enforcement isn't independent, it's hard to put that genie back in the bottle. And so someday down the line, that could hurt Republicans when there's a Democrat who decides to use the federal law enforcement agencies to target Republicans. None of us should want that.
Yeah, I'm not going to make all the obvious jokes and comments. That's happening now, and the hypocrisy. I'm not going to do that. More than anything, I'm concerned about the hair dye. Fellas, don't do it. Everyone can tell. I don't care how much you spend on it. Everyone can tell, and it never looks right. Joining me now, Mike Davis, founder of the Article 3 Project. Okay, Mike, what is Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, what are they going to be able to do as far as holding government people accountable? I'm only interested in that now. I don't even want to hear about the cartels. I want to know what government people are going to prison.
That's a very good question, because we saw the Obama Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department, and their intel agencies politicized and weaponized against their political enemies. President Trump, his top aides, his allies, his supporters, going all the way back to Crossfire Hurricane. It continued with the unprecedented Republic-ending lawfare and election interference for the last 3 years, 4 indictments, the civil fraud lawsuit for non-fraud. They tried to bankrupt Trump. They tried to take off his head. They tried to throw him in prison for life. They tried to throw him off the ballot. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are President Trump's all-star picks for Attorney General and FBI Director to go clean out that rat's nest of the Obama and then Biden Justice Department. They're going to bring much needed transparency, accountability, and justice.
Okay, I like the sounds of it. How much work do they have to do? You know, Kash Patel takes over as director of the FBI. Is a very sharp individual, big fan. I know the rod is deep, though. Pam Bondi, honestly, the DOJ is probably where all of our problems lie. That's been the wall protecting government people from going to prison. Is it possible that we're going to actually see that? I know their intentions are good. I'm already on board. What can they actually do?
They are 100% going to go in and clean out the rat's nest of the Obama and then Biden Justice Department. You're going to see actions on day one, on January 20th. And then when they get confirmed, when Pam Bondi gets confirmed as Attorney General, when Todd Blanche gets confirmed as the Deputy Attorney General, when Kash Patel gets confirmed as the FBI Director, you're going to see heads roll. You're going to see these career officials in these senior posts at Main Justice and at the FBI get reassigned. They're going to lose their jobs. So they better get used to changing diapers on the southern border, because that's what they're going to be doing until they get chased out of the Justice Department, including the FBI.
Gosh, that's hilarious. That'd be wonderful to see. Okay, Merrick Garland in particular. Mike, I know I don't have to get you rolled up to go after Merrick Garland, but what he's done with his position as Attorney General, it's criminal, it's egregious. What are the worst things in your mind he's done?
Merrick Garland has been a disgrace. And thank God my former boss, Chuck Grassley, on the Senate Judiciary Committee blocked Merrick Garland's elevation to the Supreme Court and put my other boss, Neil Gorsuch, on the Supreme Court, because Merrick Garland has been a disaster for our country when he ran this unprecedented Republic-ending lawfare and election interference against President Trump. His top aides like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, who went to prison for asserting constitutional executive privilege going back 250 years to George Washington. Merrick Garland targeted Trump supporters on January 6th and politically persecuted them. Yes, persecuted them according to the Supreme Court's Fisher decision last June. Merrick Garland sicked the FBI after parents outraged by gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in high school bathrooms. Merrick Garland went after pro-life Christians, including and putting a 75-year-old Christian in prison for praying at an abortion clinic, while Merrick Garland gave amnesty to BLM, Antifa, Hamas, Joe Biden, every scumbag Biden who was on what seems like every corrupt foreign payroll around the world. There must be accountability for what Merrick Garland and his team have done. They have taken our country to the brink, and there has to be accountability. There has to be justice.
Pam Bondi, who is she? Most people are not familiar with Pam Bondi. What's her background?
Pam Bondi is a fantastic choice by President Trump to serve as the Attorney General. She was the Attorney General for the state of Florida for 8 years, which is a big office. She does not need this job as Attorney General. She did not seek this job as Attorney General. President Trump recruited her for this job. She's bold, she's fearless, she's smart, she's effective. She's the perfect choice by President Trump to go clean out the rat's nest of the Obama and then Biden Justice Department.
DNI isn't part of the DOJ, but just like CIA, it does work with the DOJ. That whole thing rhymed, and I didn't mean to do that. Tell me about Tulsi Gabbard. What's she going to be able to do?
You know what's great about Tulsi Gabbard is she is a former Democrat who saw the light, who saw that our intel agencies and law enforcement have been corrupted. They've become partisan. They've been politicized and weaponized against political enemies. Tulsi has a strong military background. She has insider experience from her time working in the House of Representatives, but she has an outsider attitude. She's the perfect choice to go over to DNI and clean out that rat's nest, just like the Justice Department.
What does DNI do, Mike? A lot of people just aren't familiar with it. They know CIA, they know FBI, but DNI is one of those things, the normies goes right by them.
Look, I think that I used to work for President George W. Bush, but I think he made a big mistake by creating DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, along with DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. It's just more government bureaucracy. It's more deep state, which are these unelected, largely unaccountable career bureaucrats who work in these intel agencies and in federal law enforcement who think it's their job to make these policy decisions instead of the duly elected president of the United States. And DNI is just an extra unnecessary layer that's supposed to coordinate the intel agencies, and it just creates a morass with the intel agencies, a political dumpster fire called DNI.
Talk to me about these Matthew Graves types. What can be done? What's realistic? I know Matthew Graves is resigning, he's gone, but are they off scot-free now? Matthew Graves has done some really, really evil things with his position of power. What is legal? What can be done to him?
It is a federal civil rights felony, a very serious federal crime to politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement against your political enemies for non-crimes. It's 18 U.S.C. Section 241, conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights felony. And I would say to Jack Smith and his deputy goon, Jay Bratt, and Matthew Graves, the outgoing D.C. U.S. attorney, and these January 6th prosecutors and agents and these people who ran this unprecedented Republic-ending lawfare against President Trump, his top aides like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, his supporters on January 6th, parents and Christians. I would say to these guys, lawyer up, because nobody is above the law, and you could be on the receiving end of subpoenas when the Trump 47 Justice Department opens the federal criminal probe under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. And I hope that grand jury, that special grand jury, is impaneled down in Fort Pierce, Florida, the same courthouse where Jack Smith and Jay Bratz tried to throw President Trump in prison for the rest of his life under the Espionage Act for presidential records the former president was allowed to have in the office of former president under the Presidential Records Act.
Finally, Supreme Court. What are we anticipating for Donald Trump being able to do there? Is people retiring? What are we looking at?
Look, President Trump's biggest and most consequential accomplishment of his first term was the transformation of the left of center court to the Clarence Thomas court, along with appointing a near record number of lower federal court judges. We have the first constitutionalist majority on the Supreme Court and the lower federal courts in 90 years. And President Trump, in his second term, is going to pick even more bold and fearless justices and judges than he did the first time. So it's going to be good. We're going to restore the separation of powers among the federal branches, and we're going to return federal power back to the states and the people where it belongs.
Mike, appreciate it as always, my friend. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.